Have you ever made a mistake that turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to you? A misdialed number, a woman who wasn't supposed to show up, a little girl with a fever, and a father who had forgotten what peace felt like. This isn't just a story about a CEO. It's about a man who thought he had everything under control until life knocked on his door in the form of a rain-soaked stranger. And what happened that night? Well, it changed everything. Because sometimes love doesn't come when you're ready. It comes when you're desperate, distracted, and trying to hold it all together. And the person you were never looking for ends up becoming the one who makes you whole again. In this video, we're going to walk you through a quiet miracle. A story of pancakes, picture books, and second chances. A little girl named Mia, a single dad named Aiden, and a woman named Lily, who showed up by accident, but stayed by choice. Speech balloon by the end of this story, you might start to believe in the magic of everyday moments again, or you might just call that wrong number back and see where it leads. So settle in, because what began as a scheduling mistake became the beginning of a new family. Let's begin. It was just another stormy night in the city, one of those evenings when everything feels urgent and nothing seems to go right. Inside a high-rise boardroom, Aiden Walker stood in front of a projection screen. Sleeves rolled, voice calm and controlled. He was finalizing a multi-million-dollar deal, one he had fought months for. Deadlines, investors, corporate pressure. It was a life he had built, and the one he never quite asked for. Then his phone buzzed. He saw the nanny's name flash across the screen. His heart skipped. Not now. Not tonight. He stepped into the hallway and answered. Marlene. Her voice came through, flustered. Mr. Walker, I'm so sorry. My car broke down. I won't be able to make it to Mia tonight. He closed his eyes for a second, fingers pressing the bridge of his nose. His daughter, Mia, 5 years old, burning with fever, waiting alone in their penthouse apartment. He had planned for everything, except this. Aiden called his assistant. She promised she'd handle it, said she found someone fast. 20 minutes later, Aiden was home, his tie loosened, the weight of the day finally sinking into his shoulders. Mia lay curled on the couch under a blanket, cheeks flushed, her little stuffed rabbit tucked under one arm. He knelt beside her, whispered, "Daddy's here." And then the doorbell rang, expecting the agency's emergency sitter. He opened the door to find someone else entirely. She stood in the rain, cardigan soaked through, hair swept into a messy bun. No name tag, no uniform, just wide, blinking eyes and a tote bag hanging off her shoulder. "Hi," she said softly. "I'm Lily Harper. I got a message about babysitting tonight." Aiden frowned. "You're Lucy's sister?" She hesitated. "Lucy? No, I think this might have been a mistake." Behind him, Mia coughed, and something shifted in Aiden's chest. Panic, instinct, hope. He opened the door wider. "Mistake or not, can you stay? Just for tonight?" Lily blinked, then nodded. "Of course." And just like that, a moment meant for someone else became the beginning of everything. Sometimes, the most meaningful people in our lives don't enter with fanfare or grand gestures. Sometimes they walk in soaking wet, a little lost, and completely unexpected. Aiden didn't know it yet, but this wrong number, this random mix-up, had just introduced him to the person who would change his world. Seedling real-life reflection. How often do we dismiss unexpected moments as inconveniences? We forget that not all gifts come wrapped in certainty. Some arrive by accident, but feel exactly right. Before Lily ever stepped foot inside that apartment, it was quiet. Not the peaceful kind of quiet, but the heavy, echoing silence of a home that used to be full of life. After his wife Emily passed away, just 2 years earlier, Aiden had done everything he thought a good father was supposed to do. He kept a routine. Wake up at 6, gym, shower, make breakfast, drop me at preschool, meetings, phone calls, pick her up, dinner, story time, sleep, repeat. The structure gave him something to hold on to. Because when you lose someone you love suddenly, when cancer takes them faster than you can say goodbye, you cling to anything that still makes sense. But something was missing. There were no dance parties in the kitchen, no bedtime stories interrupted by giggles, no crayons on the table, no stuffed animals left on the floor, no humming from the next room. Mia had stopped singing, and Aiden, he had stopped smiling, at least the kind that reaches the eyes. To anyone looking in, he seemed composed, capable, but inside that penthouse, there were evenings he would stand in the hallway outside Mia's door, just listening, hoping to hear her laugh again, hoping for a sound that never came, because grief doesn't always look like tears. Sometimes it looks like silence, like surviving instead of living. Reminder ribbon, real-life reflection. Many single parents try to keep it together after loss, holding on to schedules, doing everything right. But children don't need perfection. They need presence. They need joy, even a little. And joy doesn't return unless someone dares to open the door and invite it back in. Light bulb a small but powerful truth. A structured life can look strong on the outside, but what really holds a family together is the sound of shared laughter. Not rules, not routines, but love heard out loud. And that's exactly what Lily would bring back, without even trying. Coming up next in part 3, a stranger who knew how to stay, Lily and the power of gentle presence. We'll witness how one quiet woman, with no plan and no script, did what no one else had managed to do. She made Mia smile again, and maybe helped Aiden remember how. Stay with us. Lily wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't dressed like a nanny. She didn't arrive with a clipboard or a list of emergency protocols. She came with wet shoes, a nervous smile, and something else Aiden hadn't seen in a long time: warmth. She didn't ask for instructions. She quietly took off her coat, kicked off her damp flats, and sat beside me on the couch, like she had done it 100 times before. Her hands moved gently, brushing hair from the child's face. She asked about the stuffed bunny, offered water, checked the fever with the back of her hand. And when Mia whimpered in discomfort, Lily didn't panic. She just whispered a story about a garden full of sleepy rabbits and a sky that tickled when it rained. Within 10 minutes, Mia was asleep. Not just asleep, but curled against Lily's side, breathing easy for first time all night. Aiden watched from the hallway, stunned. She had done in minutes what professionals hadn't been able to do in months: make his daughter feel safe. Later that evening, while Mia slept, Lily made tea from a forgotten box tucked in the back of the cabinet. They sat at the kitchen island, steam rising between them. "I used to teach preschool," Lily said quietly. "I took some time off after something happened with a student. He got hurt on my watch. I couldn't forgive myself." She didn't explain more. She didn't need to. Aiden nodded. He understood what it meant to live with guilt you never asked for. Real-life reflection. Some people walk into a room and take control. Others walk in and make you feel like you can finally breathe. Lily wasn't loud. She wasn't commanding. But she listened. She moved with care. She stayed present. In a world that often rewards the fastest talkers and the most polished resumes, she reminded us that stillness is also a kind of strength. Sparkles the quiet truth. Being there doesn't always mean knowing exactly what to do. Sometimes it just means sitting down, slowing down, and showing up with your whole heart. And for the first time in a very long while, Aiden didn't feel alone in the apartment, because someone else was breathing life back into the corners of his home. Coming up in part 4, the beginning of belonging, pancakes, paper swans, and small joys. We'll see how a single day turned into a week, and how laughter, glitter pens, and pancake mornings began to stitch this unlikely trio into something that looked dangerously like family. We'll meet you there. The next morning, something changed. It was subtle, not a grand gesture, not a decoration, just a little girl, sitting up straighter in her pajamas, and a voice calling from the kitchen, "Who's ready for pancakes?" Lily wore a soft gray sweater, her hair still a little messy from sleep. She stood at the stove flipping pancakes with practiced ease, adding blueberries in the shape of stars. Mia giggled. They looked like magic. Aiden, watching from the doorway, raised an eyebrow. "I didn't even know we had blueberries." Lily smiled. They were hiding, like most good things in life. And just like that, joy tiptoed back into the apartment. That one day turned into 3, then into a week. Lily picked me up from preschool when Aiden had late meetings. They made paper swans in the living room, their hands sticky with glue and glitter. She taught Mia how to fold notes and tuck them into her backpack, tiny hearts drawn on the corners. Every evening, Aiden came home to something new, a refrigerator covered in crayon art, a hallway filled with giggles, stories he hadn't heard before, because Mia hadn't told anyone until now. She was opening up. So was he. Blossom real-life reflection. When someone feels safe, they bloom. And children, they don't need big things. They just need consistent warmth, gentle hands, and someone who remembers how they like their pancakes. Balloon the quiet truth. Belonging doesn't arrive all at once. It's built in small moments. The third bedtime story, the silly dance while folding laundry, the way someone remembers the name of your stuffed animal. And Lily? She was no longer a guest. She was a rhythm, a comfort, a piece of the everyday. Even Aiden, so used to walking alone, found himself lingering longer in the kitchen, pouring an extra cup of tea, just in case she stayed a little while longer. Coming up in part 5, the hardest question, can you be my new mommy? A simple question from a little girl will shake everything Aiden and Lily thought they had figured out, and open the door to something deeper, scarier, and far more real. We'll see you there. It was a Saturday afternoon, the kind of warm, golden day when time moves slower. The 3 of them had spent the morning wandering to the farmer's market, sampling jams, petting goats, and laughing over one giant cinnamon roll they shared in messy, alternating bites. Later, they found a quiet corner at the park and laid out a blanket. Lily leaned against the trunk of an old tree, reading aloud from a picture book. Mia curled up beside her, head on Lily's lap, her tiny fingers toying with a blade of grass. Aiden watched from a distance, his heart doing something it hadn't done in a long time. It twisted, in that way love does when it sneaks up on you. Then, out of nowhere, Mia whispered something. So soft, Lily almost didn't catch it. Can you be my new mommy? The words floated into the air, quiet as breath. Lily froze. Her hand paused mid-stroke through Mia's hair. She looked down at the child's face, so hopeful, so sincere. Behind her, Aiden stopped breathing. What do you say to a question like that? Lily didn't answer right away. She placed her hand gently over Mia's and smiled softly. That's a very big question, sweetheart, she said. How about we keep having fun together and see where a story goes? Mia nodded, satisfied, then closed her eyes under the warm sun and drifted off to sleep. Lily looked up. Aiden was standing nearby, silent. They didn't speak. They didn't need to, because they both knew something had shifted. This wasn't just a temporary arrangement anymore. Thought balloon real-life reflection. Children don't speak in metaphors. They speak in truth, raw, simple, and terrifyingly honest. And when a child asks you to stay, what they're really asking is, can I trust that you won't leave too? Light bulb a gentle truth. There's no perfect answer to the question Mia asked, but there's a perfect response. Presence. To stay. To show up again. And again. And again. That night, after Mia was tucked in, Aiden and Lily sat on the couch in silence. It wasn't awkward. It was full of questions neither of them quite knew how to ask yet. But one thing was clear. This wasn't just a moment anymore. It was becoming something real. In part 6, the wall between us. When fear pretends to be protection, we'll see what happens when fear of the past collides with the possibility of something new, and how one man's silence nearly cost him everything he didn't know he needed. Don't go anywhere. After that day in the park, something changed in Aiden. Not on the outside. He still smiled, still made pancakes on Saturdays, still laughed at Mia's glitter-covered masterpieces. But Lily noticed it in the quiet moments. He sat a little further away on the couch. He avoided long eye contact. He started working later into the evening, answering emails that could have waited. And when Mia grabbed Lily's hand in public or called her name with that spark in her eyes, Aiden's jaw would tighten. Just slightly, but enough for Lily to feel it. Something inside him was pulling back. One evening, after a long day at the aquarium, Mia had fallen asleep early. Lily was tidying up the living room when Aiden walked in, his expression unreadable. "Dinner's almost ready," he said. "You're welcome to stay if you want." She smiled gently. "I like that." But even as they sat at the table, with Mia fast asleep in the next room, the space between them felt heavier than usual. Finally, Lily put down her fork. "Aiden," she asked softly, "is everything okay?" He didn't answer right away. He poured himself a glass of water, looked at it for a long moment, then said, "This whatever it is we've built, it's starting to feel like more than I expected." Lily met his gaze. "And that scares you?" He nodded slowly. "I lost someone I loved. And I've spent the last 2 years trying to make sure Mia never feels that kind of loss again." She listened, quietly. "And maybe," he added, "the safest way to do that is to keep things simple. No new attachments. No new chances to break her heart." Lily's voice barely rose above a whisper. "Even if that means breaking mine?" He looked up, his eyes full of emotion, but his words didn't follow. And in that silence, Lily understood. He wasn't pushing her away because she wasn't enough. He was pushing her away because he was afraid that she was... Speech balloon real-life reflection. We often think walls protect us, but what they really do is lock us inside. Fear is clever. It disguises itself as logic, as caution, as doing what's best. But at its core, fear is just love, wearing armor can't take off. Puzzle piece to quiet truth. The heart doesn't heal by closing. It heals when it's brave enough to open, again, and maybe this time, with trembling hands. Lily stood up quietly and gathered her bag. "I think I should go," she said, her voice steady but her heart breaking. "You're not ready. And I get that. But Mia, she's already opened her heart to me. And I don't know how to stay and protect her if you're going to keep shutting me out." Aiden stood, but didn't stop her. And as the door closed behind her, the apartment grew still again. Not the peaceful kind, the empty kind. In part 7, when absence speaks louder than words, the note and the coffee cup, we'll see how the quiet left behind reveals more than any conversation ever could, and how even a forgotten mug and a folded note can speak volumes about the love we're too scared to hold on to. We'll be right here. The next morning, the apartment was too quiet, not the usual Sunday calm, but the kind of silence that settles after someone leaves, when their voice still lingers in the air, even though their footsteps are gone. Mia was the first to notice. She rubbed her eyes, walked barefoot into the kitchen, and looked around with sleepy confusion. Where's Miss Lily? There were no pancakes on the stove, no humming in the hallway, just the sound of the refrigerator humming and the tick of the wall clock. Aiden froze. He hadn't figured out how to explain it yet. Not to her, not even to himself. He began but stopped. Then Mia saw it, a folded note on the playroom table, next to a paper swan and a single pink crayon. Her tiny fingers opened it carefully. "You are brave and kind, and I will always care about you. Love, Miss Lily." She held the note to her chest and cried. That evening, Aiden stood alone in the kitchen. He reached for a cup in the back of the cabinet, a small ceramic mug painted with sunflowers. It was Lily's. She once said it reminded her of something warm, something from childhood, something safe. Now it sat cold in his hands. He closed his eyes, and for the first time in a long time, allowed the ache to rise. The ache of pushing someone away, not because they did something wrong, but because letting them stay felt more dangerous than losing them. Speech balloon real-life reflection. Sometimes, the loudest wake-up call comes in the quiet that follows someone's absence. It's not the words they said. It's the empty chair, the unused mug, the echo of their laugh in a room where no one's laughing anymore, sealing the quiet truth. We often think we'll get another chance, another morning, another moment to say, "I'm sorry," or "I'm not ready, but I want to try." But love doesn't wait forever. And even the kindest hearts will walk away when they no longer feel welcome. That night, Aiden watched Mia fall asleep with Lily's note tucked under her pillow, and something in him cracked. "This is on me," he whispered to the empty room. He realized something heartbreaking and clear. He had spent so long trying not to lose anyone else that he never stopped to think what Mia might lose if he kept living in fear. And now, the one person who brought light back into their home was gone. In Part 8, finding her again in a bookstore surrounded by children, we'll follow Aiden on a quiet journey of redemption and see how a chance encounter in the least expected place may give him the opportunity to ask one simple, powerful thing. Can we begin again? Let's keep going. Days passed. Aiden kept the routines going, just like before. He packed Mia's lunch, dropped her off at preschool, answered emails, took meetings, and made dinner. But it was different now. There were no glitter pens on the counter, no paper swans on the fridge, and Mia had stopped asking for Lily after the third night, but she still carried the note, tucked in her pocket like a secret, clutched in her hands when she thought no one was watching. Aiden saw it, and every time it stung like a quiet regret. One afternoon, after a long, lifeless meeting, he returned to his office and saw something that stopped him cold. A coffee cup, not just any cup, a small ceramic one with sunflowers, sitting quietly on the shelf where Lily had left it. He picked it up slowly. Then, without thinking, he reached for his phone. Not Lily's number. He didn't have it, but the sitter's service, the one from weeks ago. He spoke softly. "Do you happen to know where Lily Harper is?" There was a pause, then a quiet reply. "She volunteers at Maple and Bloom Books. Downtown, part-time. She reads to kids sometimes." That evening, Aiden stood outside a little bookstore nestled between a bakery and a flower shop. Through the front window, he saw her, Lily, sitting cross-legged on a rug, reading aloud to a circle of wide-eyed children. She smiled as she turned the pages, her voice animated, full of rhythm and life. She laughed, really laughed, and the kids giggled with her. She looked alive. Oh, like someone who had found her way back to herself. Aiden didn't move at first. He just watched. Then slowly he stepped inside. The bell above the door jingled softly. She turned. Their eyes met. Her expression froze, somewhere between surprise and guardedness. "I'm not here to ask you to come back," Aiden said, voice low. "I just wanted to say thank you." Lily tilted her head, unsure. "For what?" "For giving me something I didn't know I needed. For giving Mia what I couldn't." She looked down. "You made it clear you weren't ready." "I wasn't," he admitted. "But losing you made me realize I might never be ready if I keep living in fear." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out something small. A bracelet made of plastic beads, uneven and colorful. In the center, Amae. "She made this for you," he said. "She hid it under her pillow the night you left." Lily's hands trembled as she reached for it. "I miss her," she whispered, then paused. "And I miss you, too." Speech balloon real-life reflection. Sometimes we think people walk away because they stop caring. But more often they walk away because they care too much, and they're not sure it's safe to stay. Blossom the quiet truth. You don't have to have it all figured out before you reach for someone again. Sometimes the most honest thing you can say is, "I'm scared, but I don't want to lose this." Aiden looked at her. His voice cracked just slightly. "I want to try. With you. With Mia. As a family. No walls. No hiding. Just us. Messy, honest, real." Lily smiled, soft and steady. "I can't promise I won't be scared," she said. "I don't want perfect," he replied. "I just want real." And in that quiet little bookstore, surrounded by storybooks and soft light, two people who had lost their way found their way back to each other. In Part 9, choosing real, not forever, but today, we'll return to the warmth of their everyday life, pancakes, story time, and soft beginnings, and see how love, when chosen gently and honestly, becomes something that doesn't demand affection, only presence. We'll meet you there. They didn't rush back into it. Lily didn't move, and the next day, there were no grand pronouncements, no dramatic speeches, just small, quiet steps. She started coming over again in the mornings, helping Mia find matching socks, though they always ended up mismatched on purpose, slipping sweet little notes into her lunchbox that read things like, "Be brave today," or "You make the sun feel jealous." Aiden didn't say much, but he lingered longer in the kitchen. He brewed an extra cup of coffee. He smiled more, those smiles that reached the eyes. One evening, as Mia proudly taped a new drawing to the fridge, a superhero version of Lily in a bright pink cape, Aiden looked at her and said softly, "You become part of everything here." Lily glanced up, cheeks pink. "I hope that's okay." "It's more than okay," he replied. "It's home." That Friday, Aiden surprised her. The table was set with candles. Mia sat in her booster seat, holding a juice box like it was champagne. "To us," Mia declared. "Our family." They laughed. They toasted. And after Mia was tucked into bed, stuffed bunny in one hand, Lily's lunchbox note in the other, Aiden stepped out onto the balcony, where Lily was watching the city lights. He joined her, standing quietly for a moment before turning to her. "She's happy," he said. Lily smiled. "She's happy because she feels safe." "She's safe because of you," he said. Then he hesitated, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a small velvet box. "I'm not asking for forever," he said, voice steady but tender. "I'm asking for today. For pancakes. For glitter on the floor. For mismatched socks and messy, beautiful mornings." He opened the box. Inside was a simple gold ring, no grand sparkle, just elegant and warm. "I just want real," he said. "With you, with Mia, one honest day at a time." Lily's eyes filled, and she whispered, "Yes, 1,000 times yes." From down the hall, a sleepy voice called out, "Did someone say pancakes?" They both laughed, and in that moment, there were no ghosts, no what-ifs. Just now, just them, just enough. Speech balloon real-life reflection. We spend so much of our lives chasing permanence. Forever, always, never let go. But the truth is, the most powerful kind of love isn't promised in grand speeches. It's chosen, every day, in the quiet moments, in the small, deliberate acts of staying. Tulip the quiet truth. You don't have to be fearless to love again. You just have to be willing to show up, even when your voice trembles, even when your past whispers be careful. Because real love, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be honest. In Part 10, The Sunflower Library, Stories, Second Chances, and the Family We Build, we'll jump forward to a place where storybooks line the shelves, little feet run through aisles, and a new chapter begins. Where love, healing, and community come together in the most unexpected corner of a city. The story's not ending. It's just beginning. We'll see you there. A year later. The corner of Maple and Bloom smelled like fresh coffee, lemon muffins, and something hard to name. Something warm and full of life. Aiden and Lily had transformed a once-abandoned storefront into something magical. The Sunflower Library. Children's books lined every wall, hand-painted signs invited visitors to Story Hour. And in the back corner, beanbags lay scattered around a circle where laughter rose daily like sunlight. Lily sat cross-legged on a rug, guiding a group of kids through a craft session. Glue, construction paper, googly eyes everywhere. Mia, now 6, sat beside her, confidently reading to her baby brother. Theo, a curious toddler with Lily's nose and Aiden's serious stare. Aiden stood nearby, sipping coffee, watching it all. This was never the plan, but it had become everything. One Saturday afternoon, a sleek black car pulled up outside. Out stepped Charles and Margaret Walker, Aiden's parents. They hadn't been around much after Emily's passing. Grief had made the distance feel easier, but time and a second chance at family had started to melt old fears. "Grandma, Grandpa." Mia called, running to the door. "Want to meet Theo again?" Inside, Lily gently placed the toddler in Margaret's arms. He tugged at Charles's tie and giggled. Something cracked softly in the old man's expression. He looked at his son, then at Lily. "You've built something good here," he said quietly. Aiden just nodded. "I had help." Speech balloon real-life reflection. We often think family is what we're born into. But sometimes, family is what we choose, what we build with our own 2 hands and open hearts. It's built with mismatched pancake breakfasts, with paper swans on fridges, with someone who shows up when you don't know how to ask for help. Sunflower, the quiet truth. Healing rarely looks like a single moment. It looks like mornings with books on the floor, afternoons with sticky fingers and loud laughter, evenings curled up under blankets, rereading the same story for the 10th time. It looks like love, replanted, watered, and grown again in new soil. One evening, after the lights were turned off and the last little reader had gone home, Aiden and Lily sat on the back steps of the shop. Theo was asleep in her arms. "You remember the night we met?" she asked. "You mean the emergency babysitter mix-up?" He chuckled. She nudged him. "Best chaos of my life." They sat there, watching the last light fade behind the rooftops. Inside, Mia had labeled a new shelf. Staff Picks by Mia Walker. One of the titles read, "How Families Are Made Not by Blood But by Showing Up," and under a hand-painted sign that read, "You Belong Here." A little girl, a once lonely CEO, a quiet-hearted teacher, and a giggling toddler had finally found their place. Together. Sparkle's final thought for you, the listener. Sometimes love finds us not when we're ready, but when we're real. And just maybe, the wrong number wasn't wrong at all. It was exactly where the story was supposed to begin. Folded hands, thank you for spending this time with us. If this story touched your heart, made you smile, or reminded you of the power of second chances, please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear. What does family mean to you? And don't forget, yellow heart like this video. Speech balloon, share it with someone who needs a little warmth today. And Movie Camera, subscribe to Soul-Stirring Story for more true-to-life tales that remind us of what matters most. We'll see you next time. Until then, keep showing up for love, even when it's messy, even when it's late, even when it comes through the wrong door.